As I was getting ready to film this message, I almost did not put my phone on Do Not Disturb because I did want to be available in case any calls came through that I'm expecting, and they are important. But I felt like this message was even more important, and it was important to be fully present and rooted in one thing rather than being open to too many possibilities right now. So I felt like that was necessary to share with you guys because some of you guys could be feeling like you're at a crossroads or you're at a standstill where there's several different options for how you could move forward or what's next. And yet it feels like there's still only one true path, and it's the path that you have already ventured before, or at least arrived at before. Maybe you didn't have the courage back then to fully go for it, but you're being brought back around right now to the same exact place. And some of you guys could be very triggered by that because it's like, oh, the past is just repeating itself. And I feel like that could have been a Mercury retrograde theme for you guys last month. And there's a lot of stickiness in that, right? The Cancer energies can make us feel like we're a little bit subject to just any given day and how we're feeling and what mood we're in and the world around us seems to be in. But I feel like we've kind of gone through that now, and we're coming up for air, especially with this full moon in Aquarius that we just had. I know the moon has now moved on into Pisces and will be going into Aries soon, but it feels like that Aquarius airy energy is still very much lingering and asking us to think about things from the highest and truest form of what it could be. And by tapping into that, that eliminates all this other like Seven of Cups energy of like, I don't know which way to go. This sounds good, but this sounds good too. Maybe I should do this. But all of it is kind of like a quick get rich quick scheme, I heard. Or if that's too specific for some people, it's like a shortcut or a nosedive, I heard, but like in a way where it's not like, oh, I'm just taking this risk and I'm having courage. It's like, you know better, you know not to go for this. But yet some of you guys are finding this triggering is meant to show you actually, it's almost like a caution sign of like, if you're getting triggered by this, you have to understand karmically how it connects to the larger picture of where you're at right now in your life and what that trigger is trying to stop you from doing in the present, right? Because the past is the past, you can't change it, but there's something about the metaphysics of time and space and like past timelines and future timelines right now. And stay with me because this is a little bit Aquarian and out there, but 'tis the season, right? 'Tis the week for that with this past full moon. But yeah, it just feels like you're making certain decisions right now that would both send your past self into a coma, but also make your past self so entirely like free and happy. Oh my God, a ladybug just landed on my windshield when I said that. It's so cute. And it's actually a really big one. That's a sign, you guys. I feel like right now, especially with the eclipses coming up this month, you are gearing up for a life-changing decision. And I feel like this decision is like playing out. Like it's not just, it's like one specific moment that's happening in this month of August that's like a ripple effect. So it's leading to several other decisions or like pivots or these moments of just like whoosh, like I'm seeing this image of like a table just like turning really fast. And I've been getting that for a while, like the tables are turning, the wheel is turning, right? It's that eclipse, classic kind of like change of pace that we can anticipate and we can feel. And it feels like right now you're sitting at a very important place of like third eye awakening and discernment. Aquarius is an air sign, so it does have to do with like the third eye and like how you cognitively process and understand things and how you make meaning about it. So it feels like it's a lot to unpack, and there's a lot of different details and things that need to get filled in, right? It's not just all here and now. A lot of this is still existing in a hypothetical like incubation kind of space or like a vacuum kind of space. But I'm getting this feeling that this month of August is going to like shatter the glass of that vacuum and bring these ideas into the physical realm. So there's a lot of excitement that's coming through with this energy, as well as nervousness, as well as these triggers emotionally, because something about what you are creating right now feels so sacred, and like you just want to protect it, and you don't want this to look like the same disparaging push and pull I heard you've been going through. Because I feel like there's this energy where like you make a little progress and then it's like you back up. And we've been getting that edging energy in the past few episodes, and I think it feels very retrograde coded as well. Especially with the way this retrograde ended, I feel like there's still some of that like stop and go motion going, because we had Mercury back into a square with Saturn, who was also stationing, but Saturn was going backwards, Mercury was going forward. So there was this very important conversation that I think we were having within ourselves first and foremost at the end of July, and that now I feel like needs to be externalized somehow. So maybe this looked like having some sort of check-in, taking inventory emotionally. Okay, like, what is my nest? What does my support system look like? How am I showing up for myself? How am I taking care of myself? These very Cancerian, like, kind of like therapy, right? Like therapizing ourselves a bit and just kind of seeing where things are at and processing them. And I feel like this full moon in Aquarius was kind of like, what's that thing called? Like when like the levee breaks, like it kind of feels like it symbolized all of this deeper stuff that might not have been fully conscious, suddenly kind of was like, it's here now. And it's like, you can either look at it or keep running from it. But either way, it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the reality. And you can either work with your reality or against it, right? So I feel like there was this kind of turning point energy that had to do with, again, first and foremost, yourself and like the place that you're at right now in your ascension journey. But also because of that, you've been seeing like how community and other people that you're attached to fit into that, right? And it's not so much like a competition of like who's more evolved and who's not. It's more so about like having empathy for everyone's own unique situation in life and choosing not to be overly judgmental. Like we do need a little bit of judgment, right? Like being judgmental is not entirely a bad thing, because it means that you have discernment, right? So there's this balance I think we're stepping into where we have this third eye discernment, but we also, like, that's the Aquarius energy, but we also have this newfound empathy, compassion, understanding that we didn't have before with the Mercury retrograde in Cancer. However, that doesn't mean that we're just like, okay, like do whatever you want. Like I accept you however you are. Like, yeah, we do accept you for however you are, but that also doesn't mean I have to change who I am or like mold into this uncomfortable shape to fit into your reality. Like I'm still here autonomous as the pilot and designer of my own life. And that point is very strong right now. It's almost like you've been sharpening your pencil. Don't take that in a dirty way, but you've been like just sitting there getting something primed, right? And I feel this like masculine energy, but also the feminine energy. They've been like really working together. And I feel like for people who are really out of balance with their masculine and feminine, it's just not resonating with you anymore. I feel like I'm speaking to a collective who has mastered or who has at least become an expert on the art of balance. And it's like you're not pushing yourself too hard in a way where you're chasing things and you're running yourself ragged and all of your happiness and energy seems to go into this one thing. It's not like some of that intensity, I feel like you've reclaimed it and you've put that intensity back where it belongs. Ooh. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, you're realizing that that intensity, that paixão, that passion, it belongs in the creative process. It exists better when it's in this kind of raw space and form, like almost like a primal energy. But at the same time, that energy has to be, it can't like take over your whole life, right? Like it has to have its time and place. But I feel like you've recognized where you can put your fire energy into, your sacral energy, your sexual energy. Like it's not literally about sex, right? When I say that, it's that fire, and it connects to all these different parts of life, but ultimately it also connects to leadership. 1111 when I said that. And I've been getting a lot of like Gryffindor energy with this Leo season that we're in right now, if you guys are Harry Potter fans. And the kind of values of Gryffindor, right? Like I feel like Gryffindor, if it was an element, it would be fire. And it has to do with altruism and who can step up as the hero in times of despair, in times of a lot of brainwashing and backwards thinking going on. Like, who is going to save us, right? And I feel like that's also a question that Saturn and Aries poses, because it's kind of giving the energy of like, well, the institutions have dissolved because of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and it's really kind of every man for himself, every person for themselves, trying to figure it out and trying to create their own stability in life. And it is no easy feat, right? Aries indicates that there is some sort of battle or like intense, like even painful moment that we have to go through to make something real, to push out the baby, right? Whether literally or figuratively. And so to have Aries energy at odds with this, the end of this Mercury retrograde, like Saturn in Aries versus Mercury in Cancer, it's felt like there's almost been like a struggle for something to get off the ground. Okay? Because I feel like with Mercury in Cancer, you've been very inwardly and privately connected to what it is that's next that you want to put forth. But it feels like you keep trying and hitting a wall that feels all too familiar, or something in you intuitively is saying, no, not yet. No, not yet. And I see someone going to God and being like, when then? When is it going to be the time? Because I'm tired of waiting, and I'm tired of life passing me by, and I'm getting older, and there's all this like human vessel, physical realm stuff that is a concern, and that is valid. But I feel like the universe is saying, we asked you at the beginning of this retrograde, when Mercury kissed with Jupiter in Cancer, right before Jupiter left Cancer, we asked you to have faith. We asked you to have faith in God. We asked you to have faith in your process and your journey, and understand that things are not always on the timetable of the matrix. Sometimes it lines up and it seems like perfect timing and it coincides, but oftentimes it does not. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your process per se. I mean, there might be things that you need to fine tune and tweak, but another part of it is outside of your control, right? And I feel like this is a lesson that we've had to kind of sit in and be patient with, rather than trying to like rush through it and cram for the test. It's like we've realized, hey, like there's actually a lot here. This is actually quite dense. When I tap into this Cancer energy, what this Mercury retrograde brought up, it's actually quite dense. And it's not something that it's just like, okay, now the retrograde's over, so we just forget about and we move forward. Because Cancer is such a deep sign, and it really connects to our origin story and things from the past, and, you know, parental dynamics and family dynamics and all this stuff. Like, there's a lot that we worked through that isn't just like, okay, that's water under the bridge. No. There are lessons here. There are storylines here. There are dynamics here that I heard are only going to get more intense with time as they age, as the people involved age, right? There's only going to be more at stake or more on the table. And that's not to say like, that's not meant to stir up a feeling of fear. Although if that is what is coming up, that fear is trying to get you to show that you actually really care. You care about this connection. You care about your future. You care about how you are showing up, how you are connecting, right? How you're plugging in to your reality around you. And that care is a good thing. So how can we work through that fear and alchemize it more and more into courage? That is the quest of Leo. So do you guys see how this Cancer stuff, like it feeds right into the Leo energy, right? And I think about, Jupiter's transit, and how this was very symbolic of that passing of the baton this summer when Jupiter went into Leo at the end of June. And it's really feeling relevant now under the cazimi, under the Jupiter cazimi, which basically just means that the sun met up with Jupiter at the same point in Leo, and they've been opposite Pluto and Aquarius, which is why I think this full moon felt so dense. That's the best adjective I can use to describe it. It felt dense, but also very airy. So imagine just having, like, when I think about Aquarius energy, right? That's why I like to say, like, thinking about things in a vacuum, or even thinking about, like, if you've been in a place where it's just like you're in the middle of nowhere and it's just sheets of snow and ice and it's just all blank and white, and like there's like, it's like beautiful but also chillingly haunting at the same time. Like, that's Aquarius vibes, especially with Pluto and Aquarius. It has that eerie energy. And so when we think about this archetype of just like, you know, Aquarius is also the dead of winter. Right now we are in the dead of summer. Aquarius is the dead of winter. And I say dead of summer, maybe I should say like the heat of summer, or the peak of summer, the life of summer. But I say the dead of summer because it also carries this feeling right now of almost like things are arriving at a standstill, or like it's almost like that feeling of like, oh, like maybe we're just staying here, we're stuck here, but we're not. And I think we all kind of know that. But like, there's even the weather right now, the air feels very thick. Like, it feels like there's not a lot of movement going on, but I can't help but feel like it's just masking what is really about to ensue with these eclipses. And that's typical eclipse energy, right? Of it like happening in the shadows, happening in the background. We kind of know that this is going to become a bigger deal with time, but like we don't really see the full thing yet. And I feel like, honestly, that's why I've been saying this whole 2026 has felt like an eclipse season. It hasn't just been condensed to, you know, the actual literal eclipses. It feels like because so many outer planets, like there's just been so many crazy astrological things going on. And so this is such a transitional time, like 2025, 2026. There's such transitional years that it just constantly feels like we're in some sort of eclipse cycle or some sort of retrograde cycle. But truly right now, I do feel like, you know, that is amplifying more than it has been. It's almost like this retrograde was just a little appetizer of some of the things, like some of the cards that are being dealt right now, the new thread lines that are on the table, and they are about to, like, I heard the plot is about to thicken. So just like the air feels very thick, it feels like things are about to thicken. So anyways, with this energy we feel maybe around us, I feel like this moon, especially with the moon representing like our own, you know, private personal energy and space, this moon in Aquarius invited us to kind of, okay, when you go inward and when you have the chance to just imagine something for your life without any sort of influence from other people or the outside world, what does that look like? What does that wild, radical, creative expression look like? And oftentimes you will find that following that path requires some sort of rebellion, which is also a part of Aquarius energy, right? Aquarius is a funny sign because it likes structure, but it also likes chaos. We talked about that last time. And so I feel like there's this, again, it comes down to balancing this kind of wild, rebellious, creative act within the confines, not even within, but like coexisting with strategy and structure and formulation that doesn't work against the natural laws, but also that kind of honors the way that the matrix works, not in the sense that it is reinforcing negative things about the matrix, but playing the matrix. So using, like, acknowledging that the matrix does have some form of control over people and over us and over our world. So instead of working against it and trying to just like shred everything, like utilizing what it can offer, what it can give to support, but completely reinventing it into your own kind of like clapback, I heard, you know. So it might be kind of like a meta thing where it's like, okay, thank you for the support, but now I'm going to kind of venture off and reimagine how this is done, and it might have some people shaking in their boots, I heard, because it threatens hierarchical power dynamics and structures that have been built to support that. So I think that there's an equalizing energy that's playing out right now. And if we want to feel like that karmic justice is being restored, I think the key is to just keep existing in the state of balance, right? And on top of that, and I think that will continue to be like something we really feel in the next week when Venus goes into Libra, which is crazy to say. Like, it feels like fall is like coming early in a way, but it also feels like an endless summer as well. I don't know if that made any sense, but if you know, you know, like that's kind of what I've been feeling energetically, is that and maybe that's kind of because we do have like one foot in the future, but we also have like one foot kind of behind us right now. And I think that this eclipse portal is coming in to really just remind us of the magic of the present moment. Again, it's like this present moment is like swelling with so much potential, and there's so much, like, I'm getting a lot of Chariot and Strength energy, which is Cancer and Leo. And there's so much of this energy that you've been developing and that you've been working on. And I feel like some of you guys too have been like on a fitness journey, or like you've been on some sort of journey when it comes to like craftsmanship and mastering something. You've been showing up every day. You've been giving it a try. You've been practicing. You've been putting in your hours. Like, if you remember that book, 10,000, I forget what it was called, but the Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. He talks about 10,000 hours and that being the requirement to become a master of something, right? So I feel like a lot of you guys in this Venus and Virgo transit, especially for my divine feminines out there, with this being Venusian energy, you guys have learned really what you have to put in to something to get out the results that you want. And there's something about it that's simultaneously very simple, but also very challenging. And those two things are both true. It's not really rocket science, but there is a strategy involved, and you do have to think about things and track things and pay attention to them. Because if you don't do that, that's how you kind of like miss something. You miss a piece of valuable information that you need to get the results you want. Okay? And this is really kind of how Venus and Mars have been learning from each other throughout the past month of July. Because keep in mind that not only were we in a Mercury retrograde month in July, and not only did we have some crazy alignments, such as the Mars-Uranus conjunction on July 4th, not only did we have some of these, like, this going on, we also had Venus and Mars in a state of tension the entire time. Okay? In the image I'm getting is like that game, I think it's called Rush Hour, where you have like a grid and like a bunch of plastic cars, and you have to like figure out like how to get the car out of the traffic jam. It's kind of been giving that like scrambled energy, which we talked about in another episode too. But I feel like something you've learned from this is not just like how to solve the conundrum, because that might be like something that's still developing at this time, especially in the month of August, but you've learned how to just you've learned when to let some things go and when to just give something time and space, and when you need to rearrange other things because it's actually blocking the progress or the flow. So I feel like what you guys have learned is how not to waste your time and energy trying to control things that maybe you can influence it, but you can't fully control it. So I feel like you guys have basically detached from the outcome, and you've reinvested that energy into what you can do to internally streamline the process and continue to make preparations and continue to facilitate a state of flow rather than like getting swept up in something that is like not really worth it. Does that make sense? Because I feel like with Mars and Gemini, there can be like social drama that transit creates, right? Because Mars is an aggregator. He's an aggressor. So Gemini rules, kind of comings and goings. It can rule like some of our like basic social spaces, right? Even just like driving out around on the roads or taking a walk or being on a bicycle or whatever, like just going out and about, you can notice that there's more aggression. Like I feel like the road rage when Mars is in Gemini is out of this world. And especially because Mars is in my 7th house, I'm like, man, these other drivers are like out to get me, I swear to God. But then it's like, okay, like we're all just like trying to do our best right now. And it's a little bit of an energy. It's agitated. It's a little bit sometimes aggressive verbally. Like sometimes you really want to honk on your horn or you really want to cuss someone out or whatever. So there's definitely that impetus that we've been under with Mars and Gemini. And that is changing this month when Mars goes into Cancer, which will be on August 11th. So, we don't have too much longer of this transit. But we've also had, Venus in Virgo clashing against this energy. So I think it's been hard because when these social disruptions do happen or when this conflict does come in, it feels like we really might have the tendency to overanalyze it or really become very fussy about it and really let it bother us and get under our skin. That's something like Venus in Virgo, it carries that same sensitivity that Venus in Pisces has. However, it has a much harder time of just letting things kind of roll off you and keep going and kind of gliding through life. Like it's not a water sign, right? It's mutable earth. So we get stuck in the weeds and like overanalyzing things, right? So it's just this energy. Again, I keep feeling this like in my head, like it's like this like frontal cortex here. It's like, it's like it's like Mars and Gemini has been kind of frying the motherboard of like our executive functioning and our abilities to make some decisions. But in some of that frustration, I think we've actually gained some really key tools and some key skills that we can now apply so that we don't keep like getting stuck in the rut, right? Because I feel like this energy is like, I feel like I'm on a hamster on a wheel. Like I'm moving fast and I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that and I'm playing whack-a-mole and I'm here and I'm there and I'm everywhere. But what's actually getting done? What's actually getting done? Right? And that was almost like, I hear the full moon in Capricorn like a month ago saying like, I told you guys, like I told you guys at the start of this retrograde that it was going to be this way, right? You have to have that point. You have to have that focus. But gracias a Dios, thankfully, I feel like we are reaching that turning point now where we can actually start to live out these things and apply them. And why? Not because we didn't know them before, but it's because with this Leo season, we're finally stepping into the fire energy of confidence and freedom and also authenticity to be able to live these things out and not feel like we're doing something wrong, right? Because that's the other thing too, is that sometimes we're so fussy about trying to get everything to change, but what we're not seeing is that there's actually a bigger change, like a revolutionary kind of change that needs to happen first before all these other little details click into place. So it's almost like if you're starting there, you're starting too detailed. Like you need to bring it back up to kind of the umbrella of what's, like, I don't know, get back to that root, get back to that. From there, you can then go on, and that's also where I think this Mercury retrograde was trying to take us back to. It's like, I'm not taking you back in time so that you can just sit here and be perpetually triggered. I'm taking you back in time down memory lane. I'm showing you this kind of nostalgia. I'm showing you what's here so you can see that there's so much gold that you've been sitting on that you need to hold close to you and you need to protect like a mother bear protects her cub. But I'm also showing you that there's all this other stuff from the past you're holding on to that's not only poisoning the good things from the past, but it's poisoning the potential of your future timeline. It's stopping you from doing it now, right? And I feel like right now is such an important time over the next few days. Like, I feel like this first week of August, it's a really important time to get the ball rolling on things. Because if you do it now, when Mercury is out of retrograde and it's starting to dissipate from Saturn, the Venus-Mars square is starting to dissipate. We're going to have some issues come up with Venus a little bit later on this fall when she goes retrograde. But for now, like, it feels like Venus is kind of running home free into her home sign of Libra. So, like, there's something about these first, like, I would say from now until the new moon, as you see this moon waning in the sky, use this energy to get her done. Get the ball rolling and allow it to evolve the way it's going to evolve. Because you might get that ball rolling and you do not know where it's going to go, but you kind of just have to go with it, right? That's what the essence of eclipse season is. But it's helping you to merge these timelines, right? But you can't merge it unless you initiate it, unless you push to start. So that's what this cardinal clash has been about, is, you know, just feeling like we're at the right place right now to start moving forward. And it's funny because at the same time, there's also this message of waiting for the right time. But that's not really what I'm speaking on when I mean, like, get the ball rolling. I mean, get the ball rolling with some of the things that like, your future self is going to be really happy if you started that now, today, because you should have started it like yesterday. It's those things that have been in the backlog that I feel like you need to start with. It doesn't mean that they're small or big. It's like they could be detailed or they could be foundational. They could be both. But if it's just been sitting in the backlog and forever you keep saying, I need to do this, it's going to change my whole situation if I just started with this, that's the highest leverage task, and you need to start with that. Get the ball rolling with that. The eclipse is going to take care of the rest. I feel like we're in for a wild ride, and I feel like I could just keep talking to you guys forever about these energies because, again, it's very dense. And I feel like after this full moon, as an Aquarius with my sun in the 3rd house, conjunct with Mars in Aquarius, I am almost like aggressive about how many messages are coming through. Like, I really feel like there's just been this huge cerebral activation for me where it's like, there's so much to discuss, like, not just here with you guys, but even like within myself. I feel like I'm having a lot of conversations with myself about the future and planning things. And I feel that energy too with other people in my life, like wanting to connect and having a lot to say. And like, a lot of it's really positive and good, right? It's just like very buzzy right now. Like, there's a lot of buzz in the air. And I kind of felt it like all summer long, but I feel like in July, like some of the buzz kind of like backed off a little bit in the retrograde. And now it's very fervent again. It's becoming like the pot is starting to boil again. I feel that. So I'm looking at 2 little butterflies right now that are flying around together. But yeah, that's the message I have for you guys today. I definitely want to talk more about the nodes moving into Aquarius and Leo as well. That's why I think that I've been so focused on Aquarius and Leo energy. I'm like, it's August now. We're not like, yeah, we still have Cancer energy to talk about. I'm not dissing Cancer, but it feels like, okay, like the shift is really starting to transfer over now. Okay. So we're going to talk more about that next time. We'll continue to talk about the new moon eclipse in Leo that's coming up on the 12th. Mars will be going into Cancer on the 11th. Venus will be going into Libra in the next few days. So I forget the exact date now, but it's like within this first week of August, you know. So there's definitely movement and things that are shifting over now. Okay. So get ready for that. And until next time, be safe, be well, be loved, be protected, and just, try to enjoy yourselves too, because this energy does feel pressurized, like we got to get things done. But there's also, I think, a lot of space for just true, like, let your hair down, be free, be you, don't worry so much about tomorrow, right? Align with the present. That's going to be the key for anything that comes next. All right, guys. So much love. Bye.